This is a Mercedes-AMG F1 car. It costs roughly $16 million to build. But here's the thing, Mercedes doesn't make money from building it. They make money from what happens because of it. In 2024, Mercedes F1 reported a £120.3 million profit. That's not prize money. That's pure profit from running a racing team. For decades, Formula One teams lost money. Manufacturers poured in hundreds of millions just to keep the lights on, treating F1 as a marketing expense they'd never recover. Then Liberty Media bought the sport in 2017, changed a few rules, and suddenly teams that were hemorrhaging cash became multi-billion-dollar franchises. So what changed? How do F1 teams actually make money now? And why are billionaires lining up to pay $450 million just for the privilege of losing races at the back of the grid? Let's start with the biggest misconception. Most people think F1 teams make money from winning races. Prize money, trophies, champagne. That's the business, right? Wrong. Prize money barely covers operational costs. The real money comes from three places: what Formula One pays you just for showing up, what sponsors pay to put their logo on your car, and what happens off the track because people saw that logo at 200 miles per hour. Formula One operates on a revenue-sharing model governed by the Concord Agreement. In 2025, F1 generated $3.87 billion in revenue from broadcasting rights, race hosting fees, and sponsorships. The teams receive roughly 45 to 50% of that total revenue. In 2025, that pool reached $1.4 billion, split across the grid. But here's where it gets messy. That distribution isn't equal. It's based on championship performance and historical bonuses. If you're Ferrari, the only team that's been in F1 since 1950, you get a long-standing team bonus worth approximately $63 million per year, just for existing. In 2025, Ferrari received an estimated $277.7 million in total payouts, despite not winning the championship. If you're McLaren, the 2024 and 2025 Constructors' Champion, you received around $161 million in prize money for 2024 alone. A backmarker team like Sauber, around $69 million. That sounds like a lot until you realize what it costs to actually run one of these operations. Before 2021, there were no spending limits. Teams could burn through as much cash as they wanted. Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull were spending $400 to $500 million per season. The budgets broke down into four brutal categories. First, research and development, wind tunnels, CFD simulations, track testing, prototype parts, all designed to find a tenth of a second somewhere on the car. Second, salaries. Not just drivers who can earn $55 to $65 million per year like Max Verstappen, but also 800 to 1,200 employees, ranging from engineers to PR staff. Third, production costs, building the car itself, manufacturing one-off components, and buying or building the power unit, which alone costs around $15 million if you're a customer team. Fourth, operations. Logistics to haul your traveling circus to 24 races across the globe, hospitality for sponsors, IT infrastructure, and fuel costs that add up over a season. Add it all together, and you're looking at astronomical spending with no ceiling. That's why most teams operated at a loss. They weren't businesses. They were passion projects funded by billionaires or automotive manufacturers who viewed F1 as a marketing platform, not a profit center. Then in 2021, everything changed. Formula One introduced a cost cap. For the first time in the sport's history, teams were limited to $145 million per season in spending, later reduced to $135 million by 2026. But there's fine print. The cost cap doesn't include driver salaries, the top 3 executive salaries, marketing costs, or certain other expenses. So while the cap leveled the playing field somewhat, The biggest teams still had advantages through established infrastructure and the ability to spend unlimited amounts in uncapped areas. What the cost cap did do, though, was make F1 teams investable. Before the cap, costs were unpredictable and out of control. After the cap, investors could forecast expenses, understand liabilities, and actually build a business case for ownership. That's when valuations exploded. According to Sportico's November 2025 valuations, the average F1 team is now worth $3.42 billion. Ferrari leads at $6.4 billion. Mercedes is valued at $5.88 billion. McLaren sits at $4.73 billion after back-to-back constructors' titles. Red Bull, despite recent struggles, is worth $4.32 billion. Even Williams, purchased by Doralton Capital in 2020 for $180 million, is now valued at $2.14 billion. That's nearly a 12 times return in just 5 years. The cost cap didn't just stabilize spending. It created scarcity in a closed league with limited seats, and scarcity drives value. So where does the real money come from? Sponsorships. This is the lifeblood of every F1 team. In 2024, F1 teams collectively generated over $2 billion in sponsorship revenue. Title sponsorships, the ones that give naming rights to the team, can reach $80 to $100 million per year. Oracle reportedly pays Red Bull between $80 to $100 million annually as their title partner. MasterCard's partnership with McLaren is reported to be worth approximately $100 million per season through the mid-2030s. Major sponsors occupying prime real estate on the car cost $10 to $30 million. Smaller logos run $1 to $5 million. But here's what most people miss. The real value of sponsoring an F1 team isn't seeing your logo zip around a track. It's what happens in the Paddock Club, F1's exclusive hospitality area, where companies bring clients close deals and network with other corporations. A single weekend pass costs thousands of dollars, and business deals worth millions get done over race weekends. For B2B companies like tech firms, consulting companies, and financial services, this access is invaluable. They're not marketing to everyday consumers. They're closing deals with executives who can sign contracts worth hundreds of millions. When you look at it that way, a $50 million sponsorship to close a $500 million deal doesn't seem unreasonable. Then there's the off-track revenue manufacturers generate simply by being in F1. Ferrari is the perfect example. The brand value from F1 directly translates to road car sales. When Ferrari announced Lewis Hamilton for the 2025 season, the company's stock surged 13% in New York and 10% in Milan. While this coincided with strong earnings, the Hamilton effect was undeniable. Ferrari's F1 program doesn't just sell race wins. It sells road cars to wealthy buyers who want a piece of that racing heritage. Mercedes plays a similar game. In 2016, Toto Wolff said Mercedes generated $3 billion in advertising value from F1, meaning that's what they would have had to spend on traditional advertising to achieve the same brand exposure. And that was before they won 4 more consecutive championships. Mercedes sells 2 million cars per year. Even a tiny percentage increase in sales driven by F1 success translates to billions in revenue. That's the power of Formula One as a marketing platform. Now let's talk about the newest team joining the grid. Cadillac, backed by General Motors, entered F1 in 2026. They paid a confirmed $450 million anti-dilution fee just for the privilege of joining. That money goes directly to the existing teams to compensate for diluting their share of the prize pool. On top of that, Cadillac built facilities in Fishers, Indiana, Concord, North Carolina, Warren, Michigan, and Northamptonshire, England. They hired 595 positions from over 143,000 applications. They signed Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez as their inaugural driver lineup. All in, they're looking at close to $1 billion invested before their car competes for a single championship point. So why would anyone do this? Because the math works. Liberty Media bought Formula One in 2017 for $8 billion. By early 2026, the sport is valued at over $26 billion. That's more than a 3x return in less than a decade. For the teams themselves, valuations have skyrocketed. The combined value of all F1 teams exceeded $34 billion in 2025. The cost cap created financial stability. The closed league structure created scarcity, and Liberty Media's digital expansion through Netflix's Drive to Survive, social media freedom for drivers, and aggressive content strategy turned F1 into a global entertainment juggernaut. In 2024, McLaren reported £700 million in revenue and £76 million in operating profit. Mercedes posted £120.3 million in profit on £636 million in revenue. Ferrari's F1 operation is believed to be highly profitable. These aren't anomalies. They're proof that F1 teams, for the first time in history, can operate as sustainable, profitable businesses while still competing at the highest level. The future looks even bigger. Liberty Media is expanding into self-promoted races like the Las Vegas Grand Prix, capturing all event-related revenue instead of just hosting fees. Media rights are being renegotiated with Apple and other streaming platforms expected to pay record fees. And with manufacturers like GM entering, Audi launching in 2026, and Ford partnering with Red Bull, the sport has never been more attractive to serious money. So can F1 teams make money? Absolutely. But it's not about the racing. It's about building a global brand, leveraging hospitality access, and creating a marketing platform so powerful that selling road cars, closing B2B deals, and attracting sponsors becomes inevitable. Formula One isn't motorsport anymore. It's a multi-billion-dollar entertainment franchise where million-dollar crashes happen to sell everything except the race itself.